Are you over on Facebook, Joseph, on your iPad?
It's not launching because media won't open. Be here
Okay.
now. In a
All right.
technical term.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that your audio stays good because once in a while it comes in choppy. So is
Okay.
mine clear for you?
Yeah, crisp, clear.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to be here. So if you want to, you can unmute up at the top and like just say what brought you here, how you found out about it, all that good stuff. At the top in the middle, there's a mic thing you can unmute. And if you want to stay in the shadows, you can do that today too.
Yeah, I think we have a big decision though. Is like, do we start with Marjoram? Do we start with Tansy?
Marjoram. I'm voting Marjoram.
Whoa,
Anybody else want to vote?
As if any discussion was needed, huh?
Yeah. So just to kind of bring you on board, Joseph and I, Joseph is an acupuncturist and works with aromatherapy, and I'm an aromatherapist, and we're both AcuAroma therapists, and we've been team teaching together for a while, and we honestly like to geek out on essential oils and acupoints.
Yeah. Is the word geek or the word nerd, right?
Geek, nerd, whatever. But we wanted to just come and sort of have this really playful hour with everyone where it's not this really structured class. We want to kind of dive into the folklore, the sort of how does this plant grow? What does it have to share with us? And how can we bring it into modern times and start using ancient medicine practices in a modern world to help us survive all the chaos that goes on out there. So that's what brought us here today, and what prompted us to invite all of you. And so here we are, and we are so happy that you are here to join us. And happy Chinese New Year! We wanted to just sort of kick this off with a holiday too. So Joseph's going to fill us in a little bit on that.
It's in the widgets category, right? So people
okay, yeah, I'll pop it up here.
So
you should see a screen that says download. Hit the download button, and that'll open up in a new browser for you. So we'll give everybody a chance to do that. Just pop that in, and then this platform here is browser based, so you can pop over to that image that you've just downloaded, and then you can always come back to this tab and join us. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, I'm a visual person, so it's going to visually look something like this.
Okay. Right? Do you want me to do a screen share and just like pop it up?
Cool.
I have it open in its tab. Okay. I'm going to do that. Do screen share and go over to this. There we go.
Yeah. So we're at the first new moon after the first full moon after the solstice. Right. If you're an agrarian people, that's pretty important because you're getting your resources together to get ready to do planting, to get ready for the spring. So we're very early spring festival. Spring festival is another name for Chinese New Year's. And it's a lunar, so they're planting with the moon. In 2 weeks in Chinatowns around the world, there'll be a big parade that will be around the full moon. So Gong Hei Fa Choi, you've probably heard that somewhere along the line. Wishing you happiness, expanding prosperity. And the community is having a shared wish and word cloud and health, wealth, prosperity, happiness. And so very visual people, they're going to have characters involved, right? And you see there's 2 characters there in the red diamond. And actually, technically, they're both upside down. The Chinese wordplay, which is part of why I love Chinese, and also Reva says visual puns. And there's a character Tao, not the Tao that cannot be named, but the Tao of being upside down, or the Tao of coming to you. So the lower character there in red, all right, or in the red field, is spring. So by being upside down, spring is coming to you. The character above that shows a glyph on the what's my right now, but if it was a standard right side up character, which means a gift from heaven, things coming down from the sky. And then the character one, mouth, and field. So when heaven gives your one mouth an entire field with which to feed your family and to engage with the village, that's good fortune. So that is spring and good fortune coming to you. Right? You want to place this behind the cash register. You want to place this in the kitchen. You do not want to place this in the bathroom. You don't really need good fortune in the bathroom. And it goes down the sink anyway. So it's uh, it's a gift and it's a recognition of the blessing of being in relationship as a family or as a village or as a society. We could use a little bit of that right now. So I make one of these every year if they're going to have a different animal and element. That's about it for it, really. If there's questions, I'd be happy to field them.
And this is the year of the wood dragon. So, all
Yeah.
right. Well, we're
Well, and
back.
wood being spring, and we're in Spring Festival, and we've got some pretty springy kind of oils.
That's right. We do. We do have some spring wood element oils in traditional Chinese medicine. Um, if we can utilize the chat today, you can pop in where you're from, if you're a practitioner, if you're just curious about acuaromatherapy, if you actually use it in your practice. We're curious to know where people are from and what they are doing or how much they have dived into acuaromatherapy. So, in the emails that we sent out, if you had registered and gotten those emails, we're going to be working with sweet marjoram and blue tansy today. Um, I like to use my blue tansy at 15% dilution just because it's going to stain you if you use it that full strength. So it's blue. And sweet marjoram, I tend to use anywhere from 25 to 50%. I think the one I have today is 50%. Um, and I use a clear organic jojoba oil as my carrier because I've never had any issues with working with clients um, having any allergies or sensitivities to that carrier oil. So, that being said, yeah. So, did we
Mhm.
agree to dive in on sweet marjoram today?
Oh yeah, the joy of the mountains.
Okay. You want to go first?
I could. I basically, I don't think I jumped the gun, but I would. I'm springing forward. I put them in the palms of my hands, and I did.
Yeah, grab your sweet marjoram, put a little drop in your hand.
I'm a real advocate
Mm,
for learning the oil while being in the oil sphere, learning the plant while being in the plant sphere.
mm.
We can read a lot about stuff, but it means something when we sense it. And
And if you grow it, I have it in my garden. Oh, I love to watch it grow.
well, and the translation of the species name, all right, it ends up being from the Greek, the joy of the mountains. So that's a pretty good lead in. I mean, if you're going to have a tagline, that's pretty good to start with. Um,
Yeah.
and there is something for me that's flowery about it. And it does have some of the oils that we'll tend to associate with flowers or some of the components. But and it is made from the whole herb and the flowering tops. Um, so there is, you know, there's a sweetness, hence sweet marjoram. There's a greenness, there's that herbaceous quality to it, and there's a bit of a song to it. I don't know what technical term that would be, but it sings a little bit.
Elizabeth Ashley could tell you that. Experiences essential oils when she smells them as musical notes, so she would probably have a whole song.
Well, this is something I really also advocate. And, you know, when a musician is practicing, they're working. When they're doing their thing, when they're performing, they're playing. Okay. And so it's part of what we want to bring out with the magic and the wisdom is the play. And mammals learn by play. We've had new Doberman puppies where I live, and you see them learning by play. You have to train the play to stop chewing this and chewing that. But and there is for me in Sweet Marjoram a playfulness. It does feel like a spring day out in the field. The flowers, it's a beautiful day like today. The flowers are just starting to pop.
I think both of our oils that we're gonna be working with today have a playfulness to them. The botanical name for marjoram is Origanum marjorana. That kind of has a melody to it as well, right?
Truly, truly.
Yeah, yeah, and, it's also, in Celtic culture, Marjoram is related to Samhain, which is the Celtic pagan holiday that eventually become Halloween. So this oil sort of spans around the calendar as well. So I
Mhm.
think of it in terms of Chinese medicine as a spring oil that we would use, but in other traditions, it was used uh, in other times of the year. It's also been used in, and I'll hope I pronounce this right, Sephardi, which is the Jewish tradition, and
Mhm.
as a ritual medical practice. The ancient Greeks believed that this plant was created by Aphrodite. And in one myth, the royal perfumer of Cyprus, Amaricus, was transformed into marjoram.
Hmm.
So, little sprinkles of things all throughout history. It
Right.
grows in the Mediterranean regions, but it's also cultivated in Egypt, Tunisia, Hungary, and France. So those are the key growing areas for marjoram.
Mhm.
Yeah, in my
Yeah.
trip to, Egypt several years ago, we did see fields of marjoram, which were really interesting. A lot of bee activity. I always have
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of bees on my marjoram. They really when they're done with the lavender, they sort of just move over to the
Yeah.
marjoram. Mhm.
Now, are the bees playing or working? That's really what I want to know.
Mm. No, they're definitely communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is sort of a spiritual symbolism throughout history with marjoram as well. It was used to, much like rosemary, to honor the dead,
Mhm.
placed at graves as a symbol of remembrance.
Mhm.
So I found that really interesting too. Um,
I
in modern times, I think the flowers have been used to symbolize nostalgia, love, and friendship. And actually, the blossoms are good in some ways. I sprinkle them in.
Mhm. Yeah, the idea of it as a funerary herb, um, I haven't seen as much as I'd like on that. So if you have more to say about that, I'd love to hear it. And
As
there is
a
something in a lot of the old European traditions. If it's a funerary herb, it's because it has a smell that covers up the smell of the dead. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and so this is pungent, being in the oregano family and all, enough to do that. And again, the playfulness or the joyfulness, maybe it's bringing back the sweeter memories of those that have passed.
Exactly, and in Egypt, they used it as part of the embalming practices, margarine, so, there must have been some sort of a preservative quality to it, or again, um, covering that smell of death too. But,
Yes.
getting back to some of the goddess Aphrodite in the Greek mythology, The flowers were associated with this goddess. And so dreaming of these flowers may also represent a connection to the feminine energy and sensuality. And we've got Valentine's Day coming up this next week. So maybe do some cooking with some marjoram in it or keep it handy.
Not sure if I would put it into a bouquet of roses, but
Yeah.
that's an interesting idea. Mm,
Mhm. And in Roman mythology, it was also used in wedding ceremonies. So it has that lifetime span for celebrations, love, and in celebrating someone's life in death.
yeah.
So,
Um, I'll often think when I'm teaching flowers as kind of a category is flowers are for weddings and flowers are for funerals. They're about an emotional moment. It doesn't last long, and the flower doesn't last long. All right. And although this is an herb oil or a spice oil, all right, there is really one of the things that sings to me about it is the flowery quality
mm,
and that, the joy of the mountain. It's not the calm of the mountain. It's not the of the mountain. It's the joy of the mountains.
mhm,
So
mhm.
there is something in its pungency and in its sweetness.
And I think that pungency, you kind of hit it there in thinking about its overall history and lore, is that this pungency sort of gave it a presence in different cultures.
Hmm.
Uh, and that presence they took as either it's gonna ward off evil spirits, using it in the Celtic pagan
Right.
tradition, or it's going to have that presence to stand with us in funerary, ways or in weddings and friendships and love.
Yeah.
So, I think with marjoram, I grew a greater respect for it, not just because I have it in my garden and I dry it and use it in my soups during the winter, but um, I learned I learned a little bit more about it as a friend,
Mm,
and I think that's part of what we're doing in plant medicine now is remembering some of those traditions and nuances about our plants and our oils that we've forgotten. And I think that it's really important to revisit that to have a more well-rounded connection with the earth, who needs it so much right now.
and we need it so much right
Yes, we
now.
do.
That the if you have a friend and you don't call and you don't write, you don't have a friend. Okay, you're not really cultivating the friendship, right?
Mhm.
And especially in a gardener, um, you can go crazy with the cultivation. So, how do you have a friendly relation with it and pace it and interact with it? And again, the you know when I did my time studying, notice how I said that when I did my time studying botany at Berkeley, okay, it was a chore. Um, we would be in the lab, early in the morning, and the TAs would have been out in the hills and gathering wildflowers, and they'd bring in buckets of these beautiful flowers. All right, and then we would basically dissect the flowers to find the sepals, count the ovaries, and get the structure of it all. And by the end of the 90 minutes, we had buckets of garbage, and it just was like it's like that's wrong. Okay, you know, maybe you could watch someone dissect one, or maybe a group could dissect it, and put the flowers over on the shelf and enjoy them.
Mhm.
Have a relationship with them, not just you know, there's a term. This is the cutting edge, all right? What I really love about acuaromatherapy is like this is the growing edge. There's a friendly communal or communication with the plants. Um,
Well, speaking of that, I was doing a session with a client, and I'm trained as a reflexologist, but I was doing some Reiki and reflexology. And I have this little succulent sitting on my windowsill, and we're in the room, and like there's a lot of energy happening here.
mhm.
And as I'm working on the reflexology part, I glance over at this succulent on the windowsill, and it starts blooming. Like, I am watching it bloom, and I'm thinking, I'm part of something bigger right now because there is an energy field here that is really good, and I don't wanna leave it.
Mhm.
But I really felt like this plant was responding to energy that was happening in this session, and it was so beautiful. And I felt like I was having this really embodied experience with this plant, and I was so grateful. I was so grateful that I got to experience that. And I feel like that when I'm out in my garden with these plants, like marjoram, that I can be part of it and know, like, what is that plant attracting right now? It's attracting those bees and those
Right.
pollinators and those butterflies, and it's sending out messages. It's having this beautiful communication with
Right.
everything around it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's attracting and responding, and that succulent was responding to the energy moving through the treatment, okay,
Yeah.
and wanted to add to it because it was getting something out of it. I mean, I'm personifying the plant, but what else could you know, be
Never watched, like,
blooming miracles,
blossoms
right?
open up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like I was watching time-lapse photography in real time. It was so crazy. Yeah. Well, the only other little piece of folklore I wanna share with marjoram today is that, it has this ability to promote peaceful sleep. It's one of those balancers, but has a little pungency to it. And ward off nightmares. So that was another piece of it that I found. According to the legend, placing a few drops of sweet marjoram essential oil on your pillow before bed can help you drift off to sleep peacefully and protect you from any malevolent spirits or negative energy coming in. So,
right. Keeps you from watching the news at night.
yes, nothing lurking in your dreams there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has so many other benefits and anti-inflammatory and pain relieving and all of that. And I think you have a point for us to,
Gallbladder 34.
yes,
Yeah.
gallbladder 30. Why
Inter
did you choose gallbladder 34, Joseph?
um, First, it's a major point in the body, influential point for connective tissue, which is the tissue that is one of the primary areas that we experience pain and that we translate pain around the body. Tightness in the connective tissue, tension in the neck, right? All of those sorts of things. It's down on the leg. It's pretty easy to reach. It's pretty easy to reach for a person working on themselves, or for me as a practitioner working on someone else. It's Yang Ling Chuan. Okay, so that sounds Chinese, okay? So it's Yang, all right? So it's on the sunny side of the mountain. The Ling here is a burial mound, which is really interesting given that the use of marjoram, sweet marjoram, as a funereal herb, okay?
Yeah.
Um, and then it's Chuan is a spring. So at the base of this mound, there's some fresh water coming out. With the character that's used for this spring, it's a source of drinking water. It is a pure, clear water. So, at the base of this burial mound, and remember, some of the great people, quote unquote, in China have burial mounds that are in the plains made up so that their funeral gifts, their chairs or their terracotta soldiers, and for the big guy, um, can be housed in that, but still under the earth, right? And then a spring of fresh water there. With connective tissue, you could use marjoram, if you will, to put a spring into your step where there had previously been a sprain or a strain. Okay. Um, Location wise, it's kind of tough to show on the screen, but I'm going to try. Um, so let's see if I can get my neon screen. Yeah. Okay. So left knee, lateral side. There is the tibia and then the fibula, right? I go for the head of the fibula, right? And I go down an inch and forward an inch, and then I rub across it. And you can feel the twang of the connective tissue there. If you really work it a little bit, you can get that sensation to move all the way down and into the ankle, right? Then you know you got it. And
It's is this also an alarm point?
no,
No, okay.
it's an influential point. It's its own special category with other influential points. And influential points are specific for a particular tissue. This tissue is the gin, is the tendons and ligaments, the ropey, sinewy tissues of the body.
So it's helping
Yeah.
to release it sort of unwinds the fascia around the lower body muscles and ligaments and
Yeah.
tendons.
If we were puppets, our
Yeah.
strings are the connective tissue, are the tendons and ligaments. And if the strings are tight, the joint is tight. So if the strings are relaxed, okay, then the joints are more open. So, and this is a major one. It relaxes liver qi, okay, which we all could use our liver qi relaxed because things
Mhm.
get stagnant and frustrating, right? Yeah, so I can do this. Sweet marjoram, a little
Sweet.
release in our stagnation and frustration. I like to use going back down to gallbladder 34, the palm of my hand, you just rub up and down on it. It's
Mhm.
great while you're hiking. It's easy to do. Okay, don't have to lift the pants if you just work through stuff. Um,
I'm gonna place some on that point.
okay,
So if you're new to acuaromatherapy, we're harnessing the fragrance energetics of sweet marjoram. And by placing it here on this point, it's sort of like a little vortex for that energy to travel down that meridian. It's magic. This is where the magic comes in.
I'll try not to be too esoteric about this, but collagen has a major component of connective tissue, two proteins, and then of the same, two A's and one B. And they weave together. They make a braid. Literally, connective tissue is braided tissue. So, unlike muscle, which contracts and relaxes, it tightens and loosens, tightens and loosens. Okay. So, this is why if someone is really working hard in a massage kind of way on your connective tissue, you're going, ow, ow, that's not comfortable. Right. Interestingly enough, the chemistry of most essential oils immediately goes into the connective tissue, into the proteins, because there's fat surrounding it, and it's a very quick nanoseconds of the oil going into the tissue. Um,
Because essential oils love lipids or fatty things, so it likes to go and immerse in there. And if you're
one of the
not sure where you if you're on the point,
uh
take that oil and just sort of go around in a circle. You'll get the area there, and it'll have an effect on the body. So,
yeah,
it's not rocket science. We're just, going into these little areas and playing and maybe do a little daily practice with this point in oil for the next few days and kind of get to know it a little bit better. See what it has to tell you.
one more tidbit on this one. This
Mhm.
is this is in the world of nano computing, they're looking for different substrates so people can, carry computers with them or actually make human tissue into something that can compute. Kind of weird, okay, but connective tissue with that braiding structure, um, oil and water don't mix. So in a braid, there's little pockets within the braid. All right, a water molecule will sit in one perfectly, and another one, and another one, and another one. So you can actually get a transmission on the outside of connective tissue that is an aqueous or water-based transmission, along with the oil-based transmission that goes through the fibers. Okay, so they consider connective tissue collagen has it is they're trying to evolve it this way as a really good conductor and maybe even as a superconductor because you have two paths through the oil path and through the water path. I'm
That's the geek part, you guys. That's the geek
like,
part.
ah, guilty as charged, Your Honor.
I love it. No, I love it. It's
Yeah.
great. Okay, shall we move on to blue tansy?
Yes.
Okay. This is one of my favorite oils. I use this every day on the point that we're going to talk about.
Well, just the damn color. I mean,
Mm, I
whoa.
know. It is so pretty. I wish I would have pulled up the photo that I had of when we were in Egypt. We look at that. Is
Yeah.
that just so gorgeous?
Are
Mm,
you blue? Are you
yes.
blue?
So we had a mountain of this, I mean, literally a mountain of this plant material behind us when we went to visit one of these places in Egypt. One of the, I, I don't want to call them factories, but distillation places.
It's a plant.
The still was probably 20 feet tall.
Wow.
And they had, we had to get up on a platform because they had all this going on. And they had about a, almost a quart of blue tansy oil that had, gone through the steam distillation process and the condenser and was dripping down in there. And it was absolutely gorgeous. And of course, the smell, if you have blue
Right.
tansy with you, smell that. That's, you know, it just permeated for what seemed miles around this facility. So,
Well,
everybody was happy that day.
and the color of the flower is like this yellow. Okay. And I was sharing it with somebody yesterday, and they were like, "It's not a blue flower? How is it not a blue flower? How did they do that?" Okay. And there is a real, I mean, this is alchemy. It's truly because you have to deal with the pressure and temperature in a very sensitive way, even in a 20-foot still. Okay. To actually not blow through the chamulazine. It can be gone. Okay. And you have lost something. Okay. But yellow becomes blue.
Yeah, there's some real alchemy going on there. Yeah. So
Mm.
what's the other name for this, Joseph?
Oh,
You wanna tell us your story?
sure. You may know the name Kurt Schnabel. Okay, German Swiss writer on the science and kind of the ecology and the spirituality of essential oils. He's actually one of the people that got blue tansy into the world market. The little shop in the town that I live in, his stepson runs it, and I went in and I was talking to Julian, and this is like 6 7 years ago. This is probably early part of what was the monthly program? Not the oil of the month, but what was it? With Tiffany.
Aroma Point Mastery?
No, before that. I'll
Oh,
remember it eventually. I need some memory oils. That's what I need. Anyway,
rosemary.
the Healing Oil Collective.
This is all
See, it
clever.
works. It
Yep.
works. Anyway, I walk in there and I need some blue tansy, and I've never seen it or heard. I mean, I just heard about it. Okay. I go, I'd like to get some blue tansy. He goes, you might want some Moroccan chamomile. And I went, no, I want some blue tansy. He went, I'd recommend Moroccan chamomile. And I said, no, I'm really looking for blue tansy. He goes, we have Moroccan chamomile. Would you like to smell some? And then he opens it up. I smell it and go, I want some of that. And what it is in the tansy family, a common tansy can have a high level of thujones, okay, or thujone, um, which can be toxic. And so they don't want you to misidentify it. And then one of the primary sources of it is actually Morocco, and it is in the chamomile family. So in a way, it is more correct to call it that, right? So I was schooled, um, and then I was enticed, right? Um, and we talk about playfulness. Um, First of all, that anti-inflammatory and the calming effects of this on anger. Okay, it'll have a lot to do with the point we're going to play with for it. It's astounding. Um, I know that blue quality.
Yeah. It's a really good balancer and mood stabilizer. It really is, just on its own. I mean, when we add it to the point we're gonna do, it's gonna kinda blow you away because it can really move out stagnation. So, it helps to bring back flow, this oil brings back flow. And when we think about the energetics, we haven't really talked too much about that. We'll probably talk about that more in future gatherings. But flower oils tend to balance and harmonize. So they have an energy that flows. It helps get flow back. And sometimes I think of it like an infinity symbol, and sometimes I feel like it's a nice gentle wave. So those are
Mhm.
ways that you can explore when you're working with flower oils like blue tansy. Like, how am I experiencing this energy? How is it moving within me, or how is it moving me? And don't
Mhm.
worry if you do this the first time and you're like, I don't feel anything, you know? It's like working with an oil for the first time. It's like just, oh, you just shaken hands with someone new, but you don't really know them yet. So you just have to keep spending time with them and asking questions and listening. And then you'll start to begin to feel it. So it's like having a relationship with someone. You have to tend to it.
Mhm. And you have to play with it. There is a give and a take, a back and a forth. There's a conversation. Um, and again, you know, Angela, I know you um, qigong tai chi. Okay, there's a the practice is called push hands, where two people are working. Okay, it's a martial art, but it's a very playful piece to it. Okay, and there's a giving and receiving and a taking, and there's all of that going on. And this is something that really facilitates that
Mhm.
playfulness. Um,
The
again, if someone doesn't get this oil, you pour it on their hand and they're looking at it like, "What the hell is that blue?"
Yeah, yeah. The botanical name is Tanacetum annuum. So and it primarily grows in Morocco. Which our NAHA group, the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapists, is doing an aroma tour there in April. So
Wow.
I know, it's going to be totally amazing. Yes. And in traditional Chinese medicine, this oil has an affinity to the liver, which I think
Yeah.
brings up our point that we're going to cover.
Yeah. Liver 3, Tai Chong.
Liver
There
3.
is a kind of a great movement upward with us. The Chiang Mai, this point is said to be on the Chiang Mai. Um, it's an opening and surging. Like the energy of spring has a surging to it. Like if you look out in the field that was wet and cold during the winter, all of a sudden the land actually surges up. Okay. The sun is hit at such an angle through the bare trees that it's activated the soil organisms and the roots, and they're actually literally pushing the soil up. There is a surging of it. You had that with those blooms yesterday with the succulent. Okay, it's surging. It doesn't just go, well, I think I'm gonna open. I've
No.
been thinking about when would I open and what would the proper timing be. It goes poof. Okay, and so anger has that energy, that surging upward energy to it. Right. Um, this has a calming and cooling and, again, unusually playful energy to it. So it can play with that surge of energy and rechannel it. Okay. So it doesn't go out in force so much as it goes out in play. Right. Let me see if I can do this point justice.
You're gonna go between the big toe and the second toe.
Right there in the webbing. If I was a four-legged, it would be the same point on the big toe and the second toe in between in the webbing. Trying to see what happens. Okay. If you notice me falling, it's because I tried to
You
stand
want
on
me
the
to get
stool
my
and
little
stand
foot
vertical.
out here?
Yeah,
There we go. Yeah, between the first and second toe, you go from the webbing and just slide your
bingo.
finger, and you'll drop into this well, and
Yeah.
that's liver 3. Yes, I
And
could turn
if
it.
you've ever had acupuncture, your acupuncturist probably did this point to you, and probably chuckled just a little bit as they did. Okay.
I
right?
should paint the toenails on this thing, shouldn't I?
Little
Oh,
flowers, okay?
little flowers, yes. Okay, liver 3. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit of folklore while you're holding that point if you have blue tansy. Man, I love this oil.
With
Just makes me so
with the
happy.
surge of
So
spring,
this
with the wind that the spring can bring, things can go too much, okay? And so this point helps us not urge too much, still to take that energy and to channel it in a playful, warm, playful way. You know how it is, and I know Angela, you got kids or had kids too. Um, Sometimes you just got to get them out of the house so they can run it out, okay? Or they'll kill each
yeah.
other, okay?
Yeah.
And it's a very springtime.
Well, according to Moroccan folklore, blue tansy was believed to have protective powers against evil spirits and negative energies.
Yeah,
But it's also used in traditional Moroccan medicine to treat a range of ailments from allergies to digestive issues. So, moving that stagnation out. I know I like it if I've, springtime when those spring allergies come up. I find myself being drawn more to blue tansy to kind of relieve congestion and seasonal allergies.
right.
It's also used in Moroccan spas to help relax and unwind. So you may be feeling that. Um,
Think about this too. Most of the traditional uses we might think, okay, are with this solar yellow flower. And however, it has been made into something that is edible or something that's in an infusion or something that's woven in. The blue only comes about with a very specific alchemical process that can go wrong and you can lose it. Okay.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
in large quantities like we have now, and not cheap, um, blue tansy means having, I mean, it wasn't called blue tansy because it wasn't blue until the alchemists made it blue. Am I making sense there? All right.
Mhm.
And there's only a few oils that will do this. Yarrow will do this. German chamomile
Yeah.
will do this. Wormwood or mugwort will do this, but people don't make an essential oil out of that because of the toxicity. They make a liqueur out of it. Right? But all of those are distillation processes, not a normal farming process, although the creation of alcohol has often been around agrarian communities. Right. So I think it's really, um, there's a newness to the blueness. Okay.
Mhm.
And, I'm one of those, I think it's a coevolution. I think with a level of liver cheese stagnation or frustration and anger and irritation on the planet, we probably had to co-evolve this method of distillation with these plants to bring out the gift of their anti-inflammatory and playful character. It's
Yeah.
pure speculation.
Exactly. Exactly. I think just the most important piece for this oil is that it is trying to move energy. It's really good at moving energy. So if you're in an emotional holding pattern, if you have some anger or grief that you're dealing with, this is going to help, ease that stagnation and free up uh, ways to help in a healthy way be able to express that anger, grief, or emotion that feels stuck. So use it in that way, even if it's just an inhalation. But on liver 3, that's going to sort of give it its superpower point to be
Yeah,
able to use it. Yeah. Well, um, I want to celebrate that we are here in the Chinese New Year today, that we have two beautiful oils and 2 points now for the month to work with, to get to know. Keep some playfulness in it, keep some humor in it. Be curious. I think that's the best way to learn is to keep a mind of curiosity. And we'll be doing this gathering again on the second Saturday of every month. I think the next one is March 10th. So we've got Valentine's this month. We've got St. Patrick's Day next month. Maybe we should pick some green oils. um, but yeah, I'm looking at my calendar. Yeah, the 9th. I'm sorry. That's the
Yeah.
9th of March. Yeah. So that's second
And
Saturday.
at same at 8:30 a.m. and for Shari, that'll be 11:30 Eastern time.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I'll include the world time buddy in that. But hopefully, all of you who are on here today, and I'll post it in the AcuAromatherapy enthusiast group, the link to go so you'll get all of the updates. We'd like to create a membership with this, but we're looking for ideas, for people like how would you see this being part of your regular monthly learning with essential oils and acupoints. So this is a growing body of work. This modality is, and I'm going to say it because I really believe this.
Drum roll, please.
This this is the fastest growing healing modality of the 21st century. How's that sound? And because I really believe that, I created an entire card deck that has 49 points and oil combinations, which two of which we worked with. We worked with liver 3, which you've got blue tansy and liver 3 today. And we have sweet marjoram and gallbladder 34. And look how easy these are to locate. It has instructions. It has what the oil does on the point, where the points are, located. So this is really a good way to get a start if you're new to this work or if you want to start going deeper with this work. And just by chance, there is a clickable link here to explore getting your own deck. I know I had to do my
Just by
commercial.
chance. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I know. I love it because people can click these links here, and it's live. It's a hot link, so fun stuff.
Yeah, Sharon just
Oh,
shared that she
Sharon,
uses
thank
it
you.
every day.
Yeah, Sharon, thank you so much. Um, I use them every day too. And you know what? Sometimes I use them like tarot cards. Like I'll put out a card that says past, present, and future, and then go, oh, what was that telling me in my past, or what do I need to work on in the future? It's never wrong. It's just I pull these with clients every day too when they come. It's almost like they look forward to pulling the card more than they look forward to the treatment. They're like, I want the card. I want the card. So
Yeah.
sometimes that starts the basis of our work that day too. But
Responding to Sharon, okay,
why is mugwort not an essential oil?
because it has toxic levels of thujone in it, okay, which can damage the liver and then the central nervous system. Um, those are mediated to a degree by making an alcohol out of it, again, absinthe, okay? But notice I use the term mediated with some hesitancy there because a certain amount of alcohol can liberate things and a certain amount of alcohol can destroy things, okay? And not all neurochemistries really find that useful. But the color is the chamulazine, that blue and that molecule that refracts light to make that blue, okay, is in a lot of the plants in that same family. And we distill it out of German chamomile, Moroccan chamomile, yarrow, okay, and mugwort, which is the more wild or the vulgare of them. So, yeah. Mugwort means mug has in like a mug of beer, and wort is the Old English and from the Germanic, which means herb, so mug herb. Um, so it has long in Northern European history long been used to make a brew that was pretty alcoholically potent. Also, Angela, you'll find this interesting. if you're drinking that every day for a 2-week period and then you stop, okay, for a woman, that will bring on a period like that, okay? Um, its effects on progesterone and first bolstering it and making an increase in that fertility possibility. And then when it's taken away, it's like the signal a woman will get to have a period, and they
Wow.
just basically chemically induce it. So that mugwort was used at celebrations to allow people to celebrate without necessarily procreating.
I know I grow mugwort in my garden, and my mugwort usually gets about 10 to 12 feet tall. And I mean, it towers in the garden.
Wow.
And I clip bundles of it and wrap the bundles like I would sage, but if you hang them by your bed, it enhances dream time. So I have a mugwort bundle hanging by my bed all the time. So it's a good dream time. It's so fun to talk about herbs, and as you know, man, Joseph is one of the smartest dudes I know about this stuff. So we're
Well, that
sticking with.
yeah, the it just reminded me, in my hippie days in the hills around Berkeley, gathering yarrow, gathering mugwort. Most of the mugwort, once it was dried, I would give the leaves or sell the leaves to someone who was making dream pillows. Okay. And the lore around dream pillows is with mugwort, especially, it'll help you dream of who your next love will be. Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. Everybody's going, where do I get that mugwort? Um, yeah. And then the yarrow, of course, for yarrow sticks. All right. And the transfer of intelligence and synchronicity between heaven and earth, the stalk of the yarrow doing that. And again, both of these are fairly common in the northern hemisphere around the planet. All right. And both of these, for some reason or other, have this blueness if we do them in an alchemical way.
The mugwort was the dried leaves were also used by Native Americans in their smoking blends,
Yeah.
and it's mugwort is used as the moxa in.
Yeah.
Ac-
Artemisia chilensis. Yeah.
well,
It, it,
wonderful.
it's all connected, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Well, I just want to thank everybody for their time today, for being here, for immersing in this beautiful modality that we are so passionate about and that hopefully you are learning more about. And we're always open for suggestions. You can put all those suggestions in the AcuAromatherapy enthusiast Facebook group. And hopefully we'll see you again here next month. We'll have some announcements coming out. So if you're not on that um, feed,
Yeah.
you can sign up and subscribe to get the emails. I'll post that in the enthusiast group. Okay. All right. Anything else, Joseph, in closing?
I really want to know what oils next month, but I'll try and be patient. I'm going to take some blue tansy and just get playful with it right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'll just reiterate, the great way to communicate is through the enthusiast group because then we can take time and digest it and play it around a little bit, get questions answered, get suggestions added to the box. Um, yeah,
And I think our format is going to be, real similar to this, but we're going to spend 3 months on the spring, and then we're going to go by the season. So we're going to, travel around the Chinese medicine calendar and talk about, wood element and fire, all earth, all of those elements. So we're going to sort of weave all of this in so you get a little better understanding of how we're bringing this uh, into modern day times with this ancient plant medicine.
right.
So, again, thank you. We'll see you again, hopefully next month, and have a beautiful day.
Yes, indeed. Go out, go out in spring.